Hey guys, it's Adari Bros here. Last week, someone requested me to make a video of the New Haven i5, and I decided to make one. Now I'm going to focus on the detail and not on the sound, because this is the original Quantum run with the Quantum sound, and it's, in my opinion, it probably will sound better than the new Paragon 2 one, and it has a lot of features that the other one will not have. But I'm going to focus on the sound, or on the locomotive and the detailing, because the sound won't be the same for 90% of you guys. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a quick little history. This locomotive was built in 1937, I believe, and they had Walschaerts valve gear. They had 80-inch drivers, and they featured roller bearings on all trucks and all driving wheels. This locomotive was capable of 60 miles per hour, going up a 0.6% grade, pulling a 12-car passenger train. 8 of the 10 locomotives were always in service to pull trains like the Merchants Limited. 24 trains would leave a day. The other 2 were on reserve or in for repair. They were incredibly powerful engines, and let's see, I'm trying to remember or find the power, but the factor of adhesion was about 4.4, and that is a very high number. Anything over 4 is considered a good locomotive, and this one had 4.4. The K4s, Penske K4s, had, I believe, like 4.3 or something, and most engines that were under that normally did not have others built. Some did, not saying all didn't, but most of the time it was when it was over 4. So now let's get into some of the detail of the actual locomotive. The first thing I would like to point out is the cylinders for the locomotive. If you notice, they are nickel plated on the ends, and the rods are all nickel plated and a little blackened, which gives the model an extremely good finish. The locomotive itself, again, what can I say? It's a brass hybrid locomotive, and it looks amazing. I absolutely adore the white wall tires, or I guess drivers. It really gives this engine the look of a streamliner. And this engine is just about 100% correct. This is the hybrid one again, not the full brass one that they did make at one point. The full brass one is expensive. It is probably a little more detailed and all the hatches and everything open, but this is just fine. One thing that you will notice is the whistle. That used to be painted black. I decided to paint it brass in color, so that way it pops out a little more. That's the only thing I did to this locomotive. And the detailing, it's all, you could never tell that it was, you could never tell that it was in a, it was done, it's a brass engine. You can't see any solder joints, you can't see anything. And it really is a brass engine. I would never tell anyone or that this isn't. Some people say that the brass hybrids from Broadway are not brass engines, and you know what? Those people are stupid. They really are. I mean, this is a brass engine, and I own real brass, and this thing is spectacular. I mean, if you saw this at a show, what would you say? First thing I'd say is, wow, that's a beautiful brass engine. I wouldn't say, oh, that's a hybrid. You can never tell it's a hybrid. It might not have all the opening hatches of the full brass model, but who cares? So back to the detailing. The cab is detailed and is actually illuminated, and you have cab figures, and the trucks. The rear trailing truck, it does ride a little close to the firebox, which is fine. That's prototypical. It does cause a little bit of strange operation, but you know what? It's understandable when they were trying to go for 100% accurate. And if you don't have bulletproof track, it might not be the greatest runner, but if you do have bulletproof track, or if you do have really good straight flat track, this thing is a beast. And actually, the drive itself is one of the smoothest drives in all of Broadway Limited engines. It really is. And I'll let you guys appreciate the level of detail. I mean, it's spectacular. You can see how crisp the lettering is, and it's a satin finish. It has just a little tiny gloss sheen, and it's beautiful. One thing I do want to point out is the coupler cover. It does pop up, and underneath it reveals a coupler, which can be swung out like so. Now obviously I don't normally keep that out because it ruins the look, but it is a really cool feature, and I like that they made it actually pop up. Some Broadway Limited locomotives, like the 20th Century Limited, you actually have to unscrew the pilot, take it out, and put a Katie in or whatever, which is fine if you're going to permanently put it that way, but if you're not, it's not the best in the world. Another one of my favorite features here on this locomotive is this grill, or whatever you want to call it. You can see through that. If you put a light behind it, you could really tell that it is exceptionally well done. The marker lights have jewels in them, and the number boards I don't think are lighted. I haven't been able to tell, but I do not think they're lighted, which is fine. I wouldn't expect it from the new run either. So if anybody's getting the new run, don't expect lighted marker lights. It would be a cool feature, but most people run these things in bright light like I do. And I like to be able to see the detail, and I don't really care for small lighting effects like that. The big ones, if there were real marker lights like classic style and firebox flicker on the bottom, that would be really cool, but it doesn't. So let's now go to the tender, where you can see the detailing, actually even that they focused on a tender. One thing I would like to point out is the re-rail frogs here and there. They are really cool. Most locomotives, most prototypes would put re-rail frogs normally at the bottom of the tender. They would just be hanging down here. And it's a really cool thing to have them on the tender roof. Another thing I noticed is that the New Haven, when they built these, they didn't have the slope cold board here. They had a flat piece. Most railroads, K4s, New York Central, J1 and J3A Hudsons, they all had the slope there to get more coal, and also to make it so that if it spills over a bit, it just slides into the tender. If you actually look down, you can see how it does start to slide down, which is really cool that you can see that's actually sloping down. I find that exceptional. Another thing I really like is the water fill hatch opens. Nothing under it, unfortunately. It's just the control for the quantum sound in this one. But absolutely a really cool feature even to have. Now I'm going to focus on the other side of the locomotive quickly. One thing I would like to focus on that's just a personal thing that I really like. The prototype had the running board run all the way across the side, and then it actually went up here with a nice little slope, which I find really, really cool. It gives it a nice stream. It just adds to the streamlined look. Another thing that is a very cool detail that I've never seen on another locomotive. I cannot think of exactly what this is or what it does. I used to know, but it's just a really cool feature. If someone knows exactly what it is, please put it in the comments, and I'll make sure to put a little annotation here. Again, looking at the running gear, it's all the beautiful metal finish. It's in my opinion, it's the prettiest Broadway Limited ever built, which is really saying something. And it really, I mean, the fact that you can read that under magnification is by itself exceptional. That is a plate that is no larger than the thickness of a toothpick. I mean, and you can read that. You can see how you can just barely read it. And actually, I believe that's a correct builder's plate. I was just looking it up. I'll try to get a photo of that here in a minute. So I couldn't get to zoom any further than this, but one thing I would like to mention is the hinges here. On the full brass model, the front opens up. This one doesn't, unfortunately, but that's okay. But you can see how the hinges on the full brass one would have opened up, which I think is really cool. And the detail just from that is really cool. It's not a molded on piece like 90% of models. So I find that really, really cool. And anybody that likes detail, this is the engine for you. This view right here is the exact reason I love the locomotive. The white pinstriping going along the bottom, going all the way through the locomotive, is one of the coolest features in any streamlined locomotive I can name. Again, in my opinion, I think this is prettier than the 20th Century Limited, and the detail is there. I mean, it also has better detailing than the 20th Century Limited. The 20th Century Limited looks like something that they decided on because they could do it simply, easily, without having to do some crazy, real crazy tooling like on the Q2 or on this. This looks like they really took time and they added some things just to make this thing just unique from any other model on the market, and it's worth the price. I got this one a couple weeks ago, fairly in my opinion cheap. The new run's going to cost $550 retail. You're probably going to be able to pick them up in the $350 to $400 range. This one I picked up brand new in the box for $200, so I thought that was a pretty good deal. But anyway, I bet you guys want to see it run, so let's see it run. So let's start her up. Again, this is the QSI sound, which in this engine I think it'll always be better because actually it has a New Haven whistle and it has everything that is correct. So let's start it up. This is the smoothest Broadway Limited locomotive I own. It runs so smoothly. Let's bring it down to 1 scale mile per hour, 1 mile per hour. It runs just so smooth, and with the QSI upgrade chip, it runs even smoother. I'll be getting one. Well, this is basically the review of the New Haven i5. I do hope you guys enjoy this locomotive as much as I do. Again, I think it's the most beautiful locomotive that Broadway Limited has ever put out. It has all the detail that you can hope for on even a brass engine at a normal consumer's price, which is what everybody wants. This is the engine that is one of those engines that you would never expect a big company to make, but they did. New Haven is a small railroad that had a lot of very cool stuff. They had the Osgood Bradleys and they had the New Haven i5s. They had the Comet, they had the Bessler. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It's a very cool train. It's just a magnificent locomotive. By the way, the locomotive is 2 pounds, so it can pull quite a bit. I would strongly recommend this to anyone who likes pretty locomotives and anybody that likes the New Haven Railroad, obviously. And anybody that just likes steam locomotives, you don't even maybe like the look of this one or whatever, this is still just the most magnificent locomotive in my collection from Broadway Limited. And they did such a great job on everything. So basically I would give this thing a 10 out of 10. I mean, it runs fantastic. The price is great for a brass model. And I mean, what more can you ask for? So anyway, please enjoy, like, subscribe, and please ask any questions. By the way, a giveaway is coming up.